Chaithanya, Tamahne. Hi, man.
Nice to meet you.
2014 ഇറങ്ങിയ കോർട്ട് എന്ന സിനിമയുടെ സംവിധായകനാണ് ചൈതന്യ. 27ാമത് കേരള അന്താരാഷ്ട്ര ഫിലിം ഫെസ്റ്റിവലിലെ ജൂറി മെമ്പറാണ്. അദ്ദേഹത്തിന് നമ്മളോട് കുറച്ച് കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ പറയാനുണ്ട്, നമുക്ക് കേൾക്കാം. At first, Chaithanya, what about your first feature film? Not your first film, but it's the first your feature film. It was about the cast and the other side of the people, underprivileged people. Would you please explain about the court?
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of research for court and I made the film to understand my own politics, because I grew up in a middle class family in Mumbai where you don't talk about caste, where you don't really engage with things that are uncomfortable. So it was for me a way to discover the different Mumbais, the different Indias that I operate in. There are so many people from underprivileged communities and underrepresented communities that you are constantly interacting with, but who are invisible to you because they are coming in your house, they are taking your garbage away, they are washing your clothes, but everyone is there, everyone's crossing paths, but you don't really talk about the history of oppression, you don't talk about the history of humiliation. And I was like 23 when I started writing that film, and there were other things like my mentor Ramu Ramanathan, who's a very senior playwright and journalist. He took me to watch Gadar one day, and it just blew my mind, and similarly I came across Sambhaji Bhagat and his music. So I was also reading Dalit literature at that point. So all of that kind of got assimilated into the script, along with the idea of exploring the lower courts in Mumbai. It's not the high court you always see or the Supreme Court you always see in the Bollywood films and Hindi films. So all of that kind of came together, and I was not trying to give answers, I was trying to find the answers for myself, and I wanted to do it in a way which is not like propaganda or everything is said or everything is spelled out. I wanted to leave certain questions open, but also raise certain questions and depict things like I saw them, and not just caste, including things like patriarchy, including class, disparity, even the oppression of language, for example, because the laws are all in English, which is like outside of the purview of most people whose lives are at stake inside the courtroom. So I wanted to cover all of that in the movie, and within, of course, a dramatic structure. So that was my journey of doing court.
I think the court is the once I heard about the British culture in India. That is one thing. East India Company first come to the Calcutta, then after the Meerut. But Meerut peoples fly over because they are not here about the soldiers, but the court. Our court system is still in colonial.
Yes, there is a big. Our laws are coming from colonial times. There are so many laws that
Even
need to be.
The call of sir, say
Yes.
I remind. That's the meaning of sir.
Yes, no, there is a huge colonial hangover in the way our courts work, and that is also something that I wanted to address in the film. So, like for example, the law of sedition, that came from colonial times, and that was meant to suppress dissent coming from people who are fighting for their freedom and independence. How can you apply the same laws in a free democratic country? So of course I wanted to also address those aspects in the movie.
Do you watch Jai Bhim?
Jai Bhim, the fiction film?
Yeah.
Or Jai Bhim Comrade, the documentary?
No, fiction.
No, I haven't seen it yet. I want to, but I haven't. I heard great acclaim. I haven't seen it.
It's a fine film from North India, South India. One among other side of. What happened in Bollywood?
Actually, the thing is, look, I grew up watching Bollywood movies as a child because it was the only access I had apart from Marathi theatre and Marathi drama. But I am not an expert on Bollywood. I don't consider myself to be a Bollywood person. I live in Mumbai, I work in Mumbai, but I'm completely on the fringes, I'm completely outside of the mainstream industry. And this question of what is happening in Bollywood or why is it failing or whatever, I think these are cycles of time. The status quo needs to be disrupted sometimes, and maybe people are also expressing something that they want a different kind of cinema, they want a different kind of entertainment. I'm not an expert on this field, but these are cycles of change that will keep happening. And also, I don't think there is any one Bollywood, I don't think there is any one Malayalam cinema or one Tamil cinema or what people call South Indian cinema. Everyone's trying, everyone's doing what they're doing, and society reacts to it. Also, in so much of the mainstream, it's so much about the money and the economics. It's not so much about culture and taste and discourse. It's so much about whatever works. If court made 100 crores tomorrow, they will all try to make a court. I don't think they really care about how they are engaging with society, or whether what is their responsibility towards adding to discourse and culture. So it's, in a way, it's very simple that people chase money, producers chase money. Tomorrow South Indian films are doing well, they will want to do films like South Indian movies. They want to do, like, one actor is doing 100 crores, even it doesn't matter where they come from, Manipur or Assam or from Kerala, then they will want to cast that actor. So on one level, it's very simple, but yes, it is always, I guess, the changes in society that creators and makers have to be open to and aware of, that the ethos of our times are changing. Although if you personally ask me, I don't necessarily agree that the films that are working are necessarily is the right direction to go into, if you know what I mean.
You complete.
Yes, no, that's what I wanted to say.
I think Bollywood is pathetically down now. It's not their problem, but
No, it is their problem, because people are watching what they want to watch. And now, see, the idea of
Bollywood is still in the middle class family, or the middle urban family system. They want to change, but they are not ready for that.
Right, but see, the thing is, now films are competing with so many other media, mediums for attention. Like, now people are watching reels, people are watching YouTube videos, people are watching vlogs, people are watching international TV shows, international films. So yeah, so now one has to be aware that all of this is available for people. And because not just Bollywood, art house cinema, independent cinema, everything is fighting for its relevance in these times where there is so much fragmentation of audiences.
In the time of court, when you prepare about preparing for the court, it is time of another government.
On the government, yes.
In this situation, why you prepare? When you prepare, sorry, not why. When you prepare the court in this UPA, in this NDA government.
Yeah, because I was inspired by the cases of Vernon Gonzalez. I was inspired by the case of.
After that, we can face the Rohit Vemula.
Yes, a lot has happened since then. But back then, it was Arun Ferrara and Vernon Gonzalez.
I heard about him.
Yeah, and Jiten Marandi's case. And so, if you think that the story is relevant in a different time, in a different government,
after 100 years, I am sure.
Yes,
the story is relevant.
Which is yes. So that is actually, it's sad. It's not something that I should take as a pat on my back, but that is the problem. That maybe some of these problems of freedom of expression, of suppressing dissent, the oppression of bureaucracy, the oppression of institutions, and who are the people who occupy positions of power, that these status games will continue as long as there is human nature, in a way. But yes, it does, like what you're saying, that a lot has happened since then, and that you also feel that it will keep happening in a way is not good news.
Do you think if it's in 2014, now it is 2022,
yes.
Just after 8 years.
Yes.
Do you think it may be possible the court will be releasing here now?
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, even back then, I thought it might not be able to release. But who knows, because now, yes, we are living in a culture where people take offense to everything. Social media is way more dynamic and vibrant than it was in 2014. So many people, for expressing any opinion on any spectrum of the political spectrum, they get trolled, they get death threats, they get, so who knows.
Not only death rates.
What do you mean, like censorship? What?
Women abusing is high
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
8 years.
Yeah, cyberbullying, and
Cyberbullying.
and yeah, sending threatening messages to people. So this is now also a function of the medium of social media. It didn't exist in that kind of a big way, and people hadn't had like 3G internet and 4G internet and affordable internet the way they have now, where everyone's online. So it's also a function of time, because who knows what would have, maybe it would have even become like a very big hit because of social media, and it would have reached many more people than it reached. So it's difficult for me to say, but have I asked myself this question? Yes, I have asked myself this question, because now I'll tell you what is happening with artists. Forget censorship, there is self-censorship. Even when you take a show for like a OTT, or even if you try to pitch a movie, the artists themselves are worried that whether this will be offensive, whether this will face legal action, whether this will face, so which is more dangerous than censorship, I think, because now people are censoring themselves over here. When you have that kind of fear set in your mind, that is when two things can happen. Either it's art starts becoming stifled, or you become more creative and you find more creative ways, like filmmakers did in other countries, in other cultures, or storytellers in everywhere, where you use metaphor, where you use allegory, where you use subtext to express your point of view. And it's not just about institutions or governments. There are so many people who are so vicious and who are so sort of attacking and threatening, and I think it's out of control of anybody right now, because it's so easy to just say whatever you want to say, and and of course the cyber police has to be more active. There has to be more solidarity for people who are under this kind of attack, and freedom of expression can't be one-sided. There can be engagement and discourse, but it can't be one-sided freedom of expression, that only one person is allowed to say whatever they are allowed to say.
One more about the Bollywood. In my observation, what happened in Bollywood means, I think it's because of policy making, means propaganda. Even though Uri, that type of movies, Uri, if after that the Kashmir Files, this type of movies is still known about Bollywood, but or in pan-Indian, never considered as Bollywood. Do you think that type of movies are pan-Indian?
So I haven't I haven't seen these movies that you mentioned, but I do not approve of films, and I stand against films that spread hatred, that divide people, that are distortion of facts, that are distortion of history, and which are done with either the malicious intent of spreading any kind of communal hatred, communal violence, or between two nations. And it's even more cynical if you're doing it because it works and it will get you money, that it will work. If the signs of nationalism are people endorsing films that create hatred or we persecute certain communities, if the art of storytelling is going to be used, if the art of fiction is going to be used for getting certain groups under threat, no matter which group, no matter which community, because you could have what you call propaganda films from any part of the world targeting any community. And propaganda is a tricky word, because you can have propaganda from any side of the political spectrum. So then it boils down to 2-3 things. One is the intent of the artists, like do you know what you're doing and why you're doing. Then it also becomes a responsibility of the audience to not take everything they see at face value, and to do their own homework and to really engage with the truths. Okay, you see a film that raises an issue, now go watch documentaries, go read news reports about it. Thirdly, it also becomes the responsibility of the media, of film critics, of journalists, to engage with people and to tell them what is actually at least factually correct, if not from a subjective point of view. So that kind of literacy we are, we need to inculcate more digital literacy of everything that we read online, is whether it's true or not. Fact checking is big, and also a cultural sort of commentary, a cultural discourse about what are people putting out, because we have censorship, we have censor boards. They are not okay with certain things. For example, in court, what was censored was that there was a dialogue where it said, oh, there's a female public prosecutor say, oh, she wants to see new faces every day, let's make her a judge. They found this offensive, this dialogue offensive, but so we had to censor it. But then there are so many things happening in movies which are so blatantly spreading hatred or blatantly wrong, and that is being approved by the, so people also need to have personal responsibility and consistent standards about what is going out and what they are doing.
I hope cinema is a medium. It's the symbol communication to the common people. If some peoples add on using that word means Hindutva, if that people using this media for the propaganda as a propaganda or as a campaign,
Yeah.
how we can protest? I means how we can.
Like I said, which propaganda is being propagated depends on the era and the time you're living in. There can be propaganda from what you call the right, what you call the left, what you call, it can be coming from anywhere. Maybe there is a certain kind of propaganda film that you are okay with because it celebrates your ideology and celebrates.
Do you hope the Kashmir Files is celebrated by all Indians?
I haven't seen the film. I know that it has done.
I just see article. It's
I mean, clearly the film has done really well, and it has moved
half truth and false.
right. So this is the danger of films and storytelling and filmmaking in general, that you can really move people, you can really engage people and spread a message or give a message that's very dangerous or far away from the truth. I haven't seen this movie, but yeah, it apparently became like a sign of national pride and nationalism for many different people. Now till I don't see the film, I can't make a judgment on it, what is happening. But in general, as a principle, I'm telling you, if there is anything that spreads some kind of a hatred, some kind of a venom and persecution of any group, and which is not constructive, which is not criticism, which is venom being directed, or which is falsifying facts, I don't approve of it. I think that is very dangerous, and then there is no end to it. There is no end to how far one can go, with the medium of storytelling and misusing it.
In 50s, after the post independence, the Hindi movies are about nationalism. They started from there, but we can't never board from them, or even though we not feel the nationalism or other side of political agenda. I hope you may watch from the old movies, post independent movies. That movies never be a sensation, or it's telling about the patriotic. But what the change between that movies and these movies?
Right. Again, I must tell you, many of the recent movies, mainstream movies, I haven't really seen. But what my feeling is about this is, see, everything is contextual. You can take, see, for example, I made a film about Indian classical music, which is a great gift, and I think a great achievement of Indian culture. But now, if somebody co-opts the idea of Indian culture and Indian classical music and uses it for their propaganda, or for using it to sort of attack another person, or manifest their own insecurity about who they are, then that is not the problem of Indian classical music itself. So it's all about the context of the times we live in. Maybe like a war movie, as a genre, may be a very valid medium to tell a story of someone's struggle for independence, struggle of freedom. But if you use it to say that this country should be hated or this group should be hated, then so we need to judge everything for what it is. You know what I mean? Like each individual film needs to be judged for what is the intent of the storyteller, what they are doing. And many times what also happens is somebody makes a piece of work, but other forces, other sources co-opt it, you know, to drive their agenda and to drive their propaganda. And it's also so much about who controls the discourse, who controls the media, who controls critical commentary, who controls culture, because there is also a kind of colonization that's happening with culture right now, with content right now, because there are only certain monopolistic powers that have the money, and where all the creators are bending backwards saying we will do what you want us to do. So that is also a colonizing of the mind, a colonizing of taste and culture and discourse that's happening. If one source is controlling all media groups, if one source is controlling all educational institutes,
Yeah.
if somebody
Even though they are altering the textbooks also.
yeah, wherever that is happening, or if that is happening, then you are basically colonizing people's minds, and cinema is just one of those very powerful medium.
Yeah.
But the screen, TV, anything, it's a very powerful medium, because you don't need education in that sense. You just sit and watch, and you can be influenced very easily. So it is the responsibility of the audience, it is the responsibility of the creators, and it is also the responsibility of certain watchdogs to alarm people and to tell them that what you're watching is not true. But then it's also about how much of an audience, how much of a reach do these people have, as opposed to people who have billions of dollars to reach to a way bigger audience. And unfortunately this has happened throughout history. Sometimes it's too late before a collective realizes the damage that has been done. And I hope that is not, that these cycles don't repeat because these are global problems. These are not just problems,
But even though history has already happened, but we are living in
and every
stage.
every era there are people who are fighting against this. There are people who are trying to awaken people's consciousness, and every era these people are also silenced, and then they fight back, and some of it breaks out, some of it turns into a revolution.
What can we do as an artist?
I think we have to keep trying our best with all the integrity that we have, and hope that a spark turns into a fire. I think we can't give up.